very core of a social coach is to be able to tell a story. A story can change a life. It can influence a life. At the right time, you will all remember a time in your lives where someone said a word to you that resonated change. I'm gonna hope that you hold your points of contribution, because that would reflect all of that, because it models what we haven't had. Everybody holds on to their data, everybody holds on to what they do, everybody holds on to where they want to be, but we've got nowhere. Why? Look at the educational attainment, look at those who are now on the streets, look at those who are in the graveyard, look at those in the University of Crime, and I can go on and I can go on. Socially, culturally, economically, we are, in business terms, in administration. I'd be calling in PricewaterhouseCoopers with a global team to go into a community, look at that community, and like the military do, they identify the problem, they nullify the problem, and they move it on, and they take it over. Communities have to take their communities back. This model was developed over many years. You've got enough information about it. What I wanted to show you was what it can look like. That's a local model. There's a Birmingham model. There are campuses dormant, but there is a global element to this, because everything that happens in your local communities is influenced by an interactive set of thumbs. Hence the term interactively active and actively interactive. Anything you think you're downloading is being counted with massive seductive information, images, and footage. I'm going to introduce somebody that I've worked with as part of our UN NGO work, because I try and look for the best in the world. As Letty said, you find the best in the world to come up with the best responses to the challenges you face in the world. And Joel de Mazon is the founder of Equanet. They are a global digital agency. And I'm a great believer in not reinventing the wheel. You've got to find complementarity, consortia, and collectivism, and shared values, and common purpose. He's going to share with you the art of the possible, what brings the community campus to light, the information that you produce, but in that data, how do we map, track, and measure with outputs and outcomes that has people comfortable with what they share, seeing a benefit in their everyday lives? This is where technology either helps us or consigns us to where we now suggest it doesn't all work, and I'm now resigned to that ability of suggesting the interactive age is not what it is. But Luis Majos is the administrator of Equanet. They recently delivered in COP26 and brought the global youth culture together to look at the climate, their environment, because young people are interested in any of this if there's no world for them to inherit. Joel, I've hopefully given you, Joel is based in Oman, and works in such a digitally complex world. I wanted to find something that would deliver the campus in any community, any continent, and any situation that we find a challenge and need to turn it into an opportunity. Joel, welcome.
You're on mute, Joel, before we start.
That's got to go in the dictionary, that's got to go into that new cultural language.
This is the
Joel, welcome. We're now, by way of the action learning scenarios, all fed back. They've seen the campus model, but over the last, I think we've had 4 sessions, would that be correct? Upon which we have looked to simply see the model reflected in the Equanet global digital interaction. So I'm going to hand over to you, Joel, as you share your screen, and this is what can be achieved.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. What we've been working on together with Geoff around how we can, I guess, operationalize this idea of a legacy program that goes beyond maybe what we've done before. Just before I share my screen, I just want to give you a little bit of context about Equanet and what is driving Equanet. The Equanet project we started 4 years ago, and the reason behind it was the digital divide, what we call digital divide. But I made a policy position at the World Economic Forum and through the UN agencies that we need to move from the idea of digital inclusion to digital participation, because participation is where we give people the tools to be able to have impact in society. Inclusion is access to technology, to the network, and the rest of it is great, but I think there's a little bit more. So we started working on this idea of how do we create technology that truly can bring people together to solve the challenges that we face today. That was our driver. And of course, it means we have to embrace complexity, but we need to create a technology where every member of society, whether we're talking about education, healthcare, the environment, from policymakers right to the people in the front line, can find a natural place in that ecosystem where they can do the things they have to do. So that's what we've been doing. And our technology stack today supports e-health, education, environmental action. Literally, it is an ecosystem where you can really do a lot of things. And just a context, all the projects we're doing today, we're doing all the largest mentoring programs in the world in partnership with Fairway. And it is mentoring young girls in 34 African countries. And the target is 100,000 girls mentored every year, and 10 million girls having access to content that can change their lives. There are programs we do with UNESCO, there are programs we're doing with the 100 Black Men in America, there are programs we're doing with the Middle East. And it's about mobilizing resources at scale to be able to focus services around young people. The art of the possible today is that everything that young people need, we can actually provide it in a single ecosystem that is designed to help them do that. So just in terms of context, to come back, this program that Geoff is very much pushing, I will start to share my screen and just show you what we have. I think that a picture speaks 1,000 words, as they say. So if I can start to do that, choose screen 2. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
We can.
Excellent. Okay. So let me just go into the ecosystem instead of writing, we're creating. So the Equanet technology allows to create the initial unit is a community. In this case, it is a campus. And we can aggregate from community to super community to meta community to hyper communities, which means that we have scalability on a global basis. We can do programs that will take cities, countries, regions, and then reconnect at the top. And what we have here on the instigation of Geoff, we've actually started to initiate 5 campuses and the social coaches academy. And these are connecting into a single space, but each of those campuses, as you'll see in a minute, are independent ecosystems. And intersectionality is around the young person. In other words, if a young person is in the Birmingham campus, they can choose to have access to content that is made available by the Glasgow campus if that content is of relevance to them. They decide, beyond the campus that they belong to, which other campus they can basically connect into in terms of getting access to information and stuff like that. So today I'm just going to show you very quickly the social coaches space and the Birmingham campus, and we'll go deeper into the Birmingham campus and hopefully we'll get the perspective of what the technology does. So in the social campus, what we have here is effectively the ecosystem where training can be provided to the social coaches using the models that Geoff has been working on. And this space basically will allow to train the social coaches and have a space where they can basically aggregate amongst themselves. And just to give you a quick understanding, this technology, we built everything from scratch. We don't use any external technologies, but to imagine the Scottish enterprise described there, if you could think about Calendly, Zoom, Eventbrite, YouTube, Netflix, Spotify, mentoring program, youth and meet together, you have a sense of what the capability of the technology is. So that is the social coaches campus, and it could be on a national basis and scaled on a global basis. But I'm going to go into the Birmingham campus, I think. If I can. And just show you a little bit. So the idea here is that each campus is independent, autonomous, and it has space for the agencies to be able to participate, the social coaches and the young people themselves to be able to apply to join whatever the mechanism is for them to be able to access the program. And the communities can be contained communities, in other words, closed communities, which are invitational only, or open communities where people can apply and you have a system inside to decide who you want to allow into the community. Provision is made for all of that. And so when the individual logs in, we'll spend more time in the space for the entity as if you take a Birmingham as a social coach, but as a social community, that I will explain how that then plays into the delivering the services for the young people. So let me go into the actual digital community. Okay. Okay. So in the digital community, there are a number of things that are there. I'm not going to go through everything that the technology can do. If I just show you very quickly here, there is a whole lot that the technology can do. I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to basically just talk just very quickly about a number of things. There is space. Each community now has the tools to be able to do their events. When Geoff was talking about COI 16, the UN conference, we're talking about 400 young people on site, 3,000 young people connected virtually, and the technology allows to handle physical events, virtual events, streaming events, everything is built in. There is a space for video, so this is space for content. If you think about it, YouTube or Netflix and the rest of it built into it, which means that young people can have access to video quality content. There's space for podcasts.
I was looking out to something.
So, and it is designed to be able to create ecosystems for learning, for access to information, for the opportunities and the rest of it. There's space for the, of course, in this case, the social coaches. In this model, for example, athletes can be role models for young people. The coaches that are there, there's an ecosystem for them, and they're accessible to the young people. They can decide if they want people to be able to talk to them directly and the rest of it. There's space for the agencies that are working and within the program and what they do, so that young people can basically reach out to those agencies. There's space for programs that are going on between agencies, and there's a collaboration element here where people can create teams to contribute to it. So somebody could create a social outreach program, and different people within the network can say, okay, we're inviting young people to come and participate, and they can join it, and you can see the teams that are there, the details of the team, who's working in the program, and the rest of it. And very quickly, I'm just going to go into the space of campus, because this space is turning out to be a really critical one, because it allows you here to really do a whole lot of things, from posting jobs to grant opportunities to literally all sorts of things, to polling young people on their opinion on different things. It really creates a space to really engage with young people. And it is designed to be able to allow them to come and be able to filter it systematically and to be able to say, okay, I want to see all the jobs that are there, or I want to see the things that are there in terms of polling. So it allows for interagency working. Really, we can wrap the services around them. And there is space for resources. Of course, where we can really build rich resources, whether you talk about mental health, you can add video, podcast, information, and the rest of it. You can actually expand it more into use cases and really build content of value to them. It's designed to be systematic. You can reorganize it on demand. What's relevant today, you can bring back to the top, and all sorts. And there is literally everything in this ecosystem is dynamic. You can rename things, you can reorganize things, you can decide what is visible, where people fall first, where people go next. You can turn things on. You use what you need based on your audience. Really allows you to do that. So I'm going to just jump, and I know I have 15 minutes. I want to stay within those 15 minutes, so I'm jumping a lot very quickly. But I want to take you into a space here that we call the studio. The studio is a safe space for service delivery. This is the space where you will do mentoring. This is the space where you will do e-health delivery, whether the program is e-health. It is designed to be able to allow each individual. So this is the coach. The coach sees the programs, the mentoring programs that they have. Their schedule is managed for them. Within that, and in each of those, they really have the tools to be able to engage the young people. This is a video program. They have the tools for group chatting, individual chatting with the young people. There is no reason why a social coach needs to communicate with a young person on WhatsApp or another medium. They do it here, they do it outside, they're asking for it. And in here, we have the ability to provide, to track of everything that's gone here and to protect the young person. In the video system, we have a button called urgency. So if something untoward is happening, the young person presses it, you record from that point onward and put it into a draft. So we know that, okay, there's something inappropriate happening here. There's so many things we built to be able to support this entire process. There's space for video, podcast, to-do list, notes, and the list goes on. And again, everything is, you can turn on, turn off. So the young person knows when their sessions are, and the system will send them a reminder 30 minutes before that there's a session due to make sure they don't miss them. So there's a whole lot of things that the technology allows to do. But the safe space really is a space where we can deliver services right across the spectrum to young person, across agencies, and the young person really see the services that they take to them, things that are organized for them. I'm going to just show you one more thing in terms of the possibilities. So I spoke about the whole idea of building currently, the whole idea of bringing resources at scale to leverage on people. And with Geoff, we've been working on something that I think is worth showing you very quickly to give you an idea. So in this space here, this idea that, and we're not just building this here, we're trying to do this in the UK, but the entire parliament of the UK can become coaches for young people. They can commit 2 hours each at their leisure, preach about 2 hours they want, for young people to be able to connect into them and talk to them. We can do this with doctors. We're doing a program in Saudi Arabia, which is to actually allow doctors to be able to deliver healthcare to remote areas that don't have access to medical services. And those doctors are donating 2 hours of their time, each of them, whether it's a weekly basis or 2 weekly basis, to be able to do that. So in terms of legacy, the term legacy is all down to what we want it to be. Ultimately, it's about what are we willing to do, how far are we willing to go. But in terms of the technology to be able to mobilize at scale, professionals, executives, and the rest of it to be able to provide services, to deliver inspirational talks to young people and the rest of it, there is absolutely no limit, no reason why we cannot do it. So that's, in a nutshell, some of the things that Equanet is doing, and why Geoff and my team will be talking very much about how we can work together to make this whole idea of scalability of the program an integral part of what we can do to really help young people through the legacy program.
Joel?
Geoff?
Thank you.
I'm not talking anymore.
Thank you very much. We've had 4 sessions. 4 sessions of about, I would say, 6 hours of duration. It's always going to be about finding people who have a similar vision, mission, and purpose. The art of the possible is limitless and endless. A complete wraparound of sustainable, interactive engagement with a youth culture of influencers at every single level of society, what with sport, art, culture, providing the hook that digitally engages them into a new, interactively real-time world, not metaverse, not alternative world, real world. But above all, bringing us to a place where we can develop our new communities, but understanding how this technology can work for us, rather than at the moment. Call for Duty, many of you are aware of this war game. 400 million subscribers a month across 192 different countries. That's why I felt this was the only countercultural balance that we could provide, and hopefully provide positive inspiration and ongoing inspiration to motivate and create. The term ecosystem is all too frequently used. But I'm hoping you've seen what can be achieved, and this has been just simply a number of us saying it's the right thing to do. Joel's going to stay online because Everyone talks about the funding. How do we fund this? Well, any entrepreneur invests their idea, tries to take their idea to market, and if they fail, they go back again and they look for investment. But I see this as everyone's investment. It's a consortium approach. But ultimately, funding is always going to be the question, always asked. When we talk about where we get our respective funds, we get it for our respective organisations. We compete rather than collaborate. I believe as a collective consortium of common purpose and interests, if we pull all of that together with the right outputs and outcomes, we get investment, not donations and grants. I'm looking for a socio-economic investment, and that type of investment can yield the type of returns that makes a real and sustainable difference. I'm going to hand over to Mike Chamberlain because you do need a few people who are prepared to invest in your madness. And everything here, I'm told, is a single one-man band, somewhat off-piece, not quite collectively right in the head. But I'd argue that that's those of us who make a difference in the world, and we're prepared to push back. Mike Chamberlain is Chief Executive of Sport Birmingham. We've been looking at funding and what will really sustain legacy. And legacy for me is simple. What do you want to leave behind? What will this time next year look like when the Commonwealth has gone? I'm now told to Adelaide, is it Adelaide or Melbourne? Adelaide, 2026. We have a new Commonwealth Games host city. What will it look like? What will we take from here and share there? Aboriginal youth, they're very disaffected. Very much so. They don't even exist. What will happen? The Indigenous, they're called. So all I'm saying is, we have to look at new funding mechanisms. When I spoke to Matt, he wasn't quite convinced he'd invest. We have to make it a compelling proposition. There has to be a socio-economic return.